Chicken Run when you left.
Chicken Run.
listen. When you left the hut, the dogs would be patrolling.
Yeah.
And when that dog like sort of scents you and then starts running at you and gets you, I actually pressed the off button on my PlayStation because I couldn't handle it. I remember actually asking a really innocent question because as I was very young, I loved Michael Jackson, and I remember I obviously didn't know the context at all, but they were talking about Michael Jackson having a sleepover with a sleeping in a bed with a boy, and he called it a sleepover. So I asked my mum, I said, could Michael Jackson sleep over around here? And I just remember her reaction, and it was so funny, like looking back now, because at the time I thought, oh, that's a bit harsh. But she was like, absolutely not, like that. It's actually a spider on your head right now,
Jack.
It's up your headset now.
Jack.
It's moving down. It's going into your ear. Okay.
Going into my ear. How's it going to get into my ear? Hello and welcome back to the Chat All About It podcast. We're still going in lockdown. I'm joined by no other than Jack. How we doing, mate?
Here I am. I'm live and ready.
And
it's been very, very different. I mean, we're still going hard on these podcasts, even though we're still not in the same room together.
We are, and I'll be honest. It has been stressful for me. I haven't got the equipment. Let's say I'm not.
Me and Sam behind the scenes
it's been a nightmare.
Have had some very harsh words.
Well, no. You have had some harsh words to say to me, and I've just had to take it, pretty much. Like, there's no words, But we're still good. We're still friends. We're okay, and we move on. And we're doing a podcast today. Something that, we're going to see how it goes. We're going to talk about our fears, any fears that we have or have had in the past.
Have had.
And yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna throw the bullet to you, Jack. There you go.
The bullet of conversation
has gone straight over to you, and I want you just to let me know of any fears maybe that you had at any point in your life as a child, and how you've overcome them, or if you haven't overcome
them. Well, I'll be honest with you. As a child, I never was sort of afraid of the dark, because living in the forest. There was always a lot of darkness in the forest, and I loved going in the forest all day, as many hours as possible. So that obviously just carried on into the night or evening, where I'd like run about the forest in the dark. So I never really got afraid of the dark or living in the middle of nowhere. So when I watched horror films as a young kid, it really sort of confused me, because I always thought that dark, secluded area would never be dangerous. But in a lot of horror films I watched as a young kid, I do remember being particularly scared actually about the first sort of horror film I watched. This is ridiculous, by the way.
Trust me, mine are ridiculous, so don't worry.
Was Shaun of the Dead.
Okay, that's pathetic.
And yeah, it is, because it is a comedy, but I think I was far too young to be watching that. I must have been maybe 9 or 10 years old, something like that.
I suppose it's
right. And I was sort of really sort of scared. And also the earliest memory I was ever scared of, shout out to anyone that knows about what I'm about to say, but on PlayStation 1, Chicken Run, when you left
Chicken Run.
listen, when you left the hut, the dogs would be patrolling.
Yeah.
And when that dog like sort of scents you and then starts running at you and gets you, I actually pressed the off button on my PlayStation because I couldn't handle it.
Oh, mate, that is. I mean, I don't know why I'm laughing, because you're gonna think I'm stupid for some of my things. But Chicken Run, you were scared of a chicken
on PlayStation 1. No, I'm not scared of a chicken. I'm scared of a dog.
Sorry, and you.
Well, I was. I'm not scared now. I'll eat that dog alive now. No problem.
Eat a dog.
Well, that dog alive. Don't worry. You had to read into it, didn't you?
Yeah,
you had to dissect
it was an interesting
that,
statement. It's interesting you say that you were scared of something on a game. It's something that I've mentioned on the previous pod. As you're aware, and you're taking the piss out of me, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and I had a Harry Potter game, and there was this one bit where you had to.
Which game?
It was a Philosopher's Stone. So it's the first one.
Oh, what are we talking? PS1?
No, we're talking PC, mate. PC gamer, and I
Sorry.
yeah, please do step back. And I had this game, and there was when he got the invisibility cloak and had to go into the library. Do you remember that in the film?
Vaguely, yeah. Oh, the film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
in
film.
the game, you had to put on the cloak and sneak around the library, but Mr. Filch was in the library, and if he caught you, you were fucked basically. And the way he was walking and his voice just freaked me out so much. And when he caught you, he just screamed.
It's too much, isn't it? It was too much.
When he screamed, he was like, "I've got you," and I was like, "I'm done. I'm done. Like I just can't deal with that." And I had nightmares. I had nightmares. Like it was awful. Like I mean, I was also horrifically afraid of the dark. Like I used to have the.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the most common fears with people. They're sort of afraid of the dark.
But then interestingly, like this is not now. Like when I was a lot younger, I used to be scared of the dark. I used to have to have my door open with the hall light on, and now, if I've got even the tiniest bit of light in my room when I'm trying to sleep, I can't sleep. So it's weird how like I couldn't sleep without it, and now I can't sleep with it. It's interesting, and I don't even know how I got over that phobia. It must have been just one night. My parents were like, "Listen, I don't know how. Let's say you're 12 years old. I don't know if I was 12. Let's just say you're 12 years old. Grow the fuck up, basically. Like that's you can probably imagine my parents saying that. So, yeah, I think that's probably what happened. I have another fear, which you're gonna think is pathetic. Like honestly.
Here we go.
So my sister,
You're scared of your sister?
I'm not scared of my sister. My sister, in her teenage years, probably still now, was obsessed or very liked a particular musical artist. This musical artist goes by the name of Michael Jackson. She had loads of pictures of Michael Jackson on her door, and I just felt it was a sort of thing where every time I went past it, he was looking at me. Like I just felt like
that's a bit creepy.
And it was weird. And obviously this was like when I was a lot younger, Michael Jackson was, you know.
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah, there was a lot of allegations, which can't be. That could be another pod, possibly, if we.
I remember actually asking a really innocent question because as I was very young, I loved Michael Jackson, and I remember I obviously didn't know the context at all, but they were talking about Michael Jackson having a sleepover sleeping in a bed with a boy, and he called it a sleepover. So I asked my mum. I said, could Michael Jackson sleep over around here? And I just remember her reaction, and it was so funny, like looking back now, because at the time I thought, oh, that's a bit harsh, but she was like, absolutely not, like that.
Well, I mean, it was very smart of her to not let that happen.
But I was so confused. I was just like, well, it's only MJ.
Well, but that's the thing that I got a little bit scared, obviously, because I thought, well, if this is happening wherever he lives. If he comes to America, to England, sorry, he's going to think, that little boy scared of me, and I'm going to do all this stuff to him, which is a bit dodgy. So basically, when I used to go to like my sister's bedroom, or like towards it, I used to run past the door so Michael Jackson couldn't catch me. Like, it's pathetic.
Yeah,
and I used to like crawl on the floor so the pictures couldn't see me, like I had. A very mental imagination. Like it wasn't on.
I think that's what it is actually driven by as a kid. You have all these fears because you have such a strong imagination at the time. Like you would be like, I know another common fear would be going into the sea because of sharks. When you see like thousands of people like in the sea and you're like, no, I can't go in because the shark will get me. It's just stuff like that. Like
very true.
It is but then it's a rational fear.
I get that, but then like I suppose this is maybe a bit extreme. But I understand the whole thing with sharks. But you've said, people won't go into the sea because there might, sharks live in the sea, but the likelihood of getting bitten by a shark in the shallow water that you are in the sea is a bit minimal. It's like saying I'm not going to go on a train because they've been bombed before. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's.
Yeah. Well, again, these are risks that are just so minor that you could never really actually weigh them
Yeah.
up. You know, they're so tiny, them risks. But what sort of fears do you think you face as an adult now? Like, what would you say that you've recently had fears?
I mean, I have
an
a
adult?
crippling. Well, it's something. Actually, I won't go into my crippling fear now. It's not anything to do with adulthood. The one I'm going to speak about now, possibly is, when I was maybe 18, 19, I had. It was a bit of a crippling fear at the time. I used to live like near a high street, as I've said in a previous podcast, and there was always like maybe 4 or 5 homeless people down down the road, and maybe something had happened to me, or something negative was going on, and I had a crippling fear at the time of like, what if I become homeless? Like, what if that is me? And that was for like a year or two. I was honestly I just tried to do anything I can to not ever have to deal with homelessness. And again, as we've mentioned in the previous pod, I got kicked out of my house when I was younger, so that was a learning curve for me, I think. And I think that crippling fear just must have been maybe other people in my life. Friends may have been moving in with other friends, or just going to shared houses, or moving in with partners, or anything like that. And I think things like that just got on top of me, and I thought, well, if all my friends are doing this, I'm fucked because I'm going to be homeless. Like, I don't know why I thought that, but as you can see, I'm not homeless, which is very nice. So, well done, Sam. And yeah, like, I don't know, like one of my fears now, and it's like even talking about it makes me feel a bit ill. Like, I just can't.
Go on.
Like, my skin is just like itching. I have a crippling fear. It's a common fear of spiders. Like, I am petrified of spiders, mate. It's horrific. Like, even
Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. I honestly think it's. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a firm believer in karma, but I think it is karma, or this has happened for a reason. Because when I was younger, I was a horrendous being as a child. Like, I was not a nice person. And if someone was like, "Oh, I'm scared of spiders," I used to pick up a spider and put it in their face and rip off their legs.
Oh, no.
And I thought, "Oh, I'm odd. I'm ripping off a spider's legs." And now the word spider makes me feel ill. Like, I just can't handle it.
It's weird because, I mean, the only fear I could think of that I have is, and it actually makes me sort of like feel dizzy talking about it. But I don't know if it's a fear or just some sort of mental issue. Basically, I've got an issue with cotton. So the thought
Cotton?
of someone biting. No. Listen, it isn't cotton on its own. It's like the thought of someone biting cotton. I can't.
I mean,
I can't talk about it. And I don't know where that comes from. It's so weird. But the thought of that really makes me cringe, and I don't know why.
well, I've this is a little bit topical. Are you a fan of I mean, the cotton thing is a bit mental. We can come back onto that if you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of I'm a Celebrity?
I watched the first episode and I was very unimpressed.
Like this series is quite bad, and I find, for me, like, I'm not a big fan of snakes, and I absolutely loathe spiders. Like, I just cannot deal with them. It's awful. And I was thinking, there was one where they got these 2 people, and this guy was so scared of snakes, like, so they put him in a coffin effectively in the ground, and 30, 40 snakes were just around him, and
oh yeah, I saw that.
I thought to myself, see, I don't know if this is weird. I'm not a big fan of snakes, but I think I could do that. However, if it was spiders, I'd go home. Like, I'd be like...
So are you afraid of being attacked by a spider?
No, but I don't even know what it is. When I see a spider, I have a hissy fit, basically. Like, just can't deal with it. Like, when I lived with my parents, I used to have to get my mum or my dad to... If I was having a shower, imagine this. I'm having a shower, right? And I run out the bathroom, and whoever I see is like, mid shower, get rid of the spider. Otherwise, I'm fucked, basically. And it's not. It doesn't, like, if they're massive, then I just have to concede defeat and let them do what they want to do. If they're tiny, like, if I get rid of a really small spider, literally like this big, I think I'm so odd. Like, I think I'm such a lad and so
a man.
Yeah, I'm such a man for
I have to constantly get rid of spiders in this flat because Sophie's absolutely terrified of them.
They're awful. Like, why do they exist? Why are they a thing? Pisses me off.
Well, I actually, again, this is another weird thing, but I got over the fear of spiders because I had an intense passion for Spider-Man. I always wore, like, as a kid for many years, like, not all the time, but used to wear a lot of the time a Spider-Man outfit or a Spider-Man shirt.
Yeah.
And I'd buy all the Spider-Man games, and I actually wanted to be bit by a spider, basically. That's exactly... yeah, but that's exactly how I got over that fear, because in my eyes, getting bit by a spider is a good thing, because you could potentially become Spider-Man.
Right, I mean...
and with great power comes with great responsibility.
Jack, I'm going to let you know something. And, I mean, I don't know if you're ready for it.
Is our podcast finished?
Spider-Man isn't real. I don't know how...
Well, you know, that's your opinion.
No, it's the truth. That's it.
No, well, that's fine.
But you know, but you know, do you still believe that Spider-Man is real?
Yes.
Okay then. I mean, fair enough. But
there's a Spider-Man in all of us.
There is a. To be fair, that is true. I mean, there's something that I wouldn't say is like an.
There is actually a spider on your head right now.
Jack.
It's up your headset now.
Jack.
It's moving down. It's going into your ear. Okay.
Going into my ear. How's it going to get into my ear?
Well, it's trying to get in.
Do you know what the funny thing is? I genuinely believed you for a second. So, don't do that. I was going to say, before you were very immature and tried to hurt me, that I don't know if this is a fear, but maybe something that we maybe haven't necessarily ever thought about. Do you think it's a fear for us anyway, personally, that football may not go back to how it used to be? Is that a fear?
No, because it has to go back to how it is. It cannot change in the way that it couldn't stay the way it is now. That wouldn't make any sense.
Well,
there is no football without fans. If there's no fans, no football. That's the simple.
I must say, like, watching it is it's actually hard work now. Like I can watch any football match, even matches that aren't in England. Like just because I'm a lover of the game, mate. I just love football, mate. I don't know if that's ever come across.
No.
But just in case you didn't know, I like football. And yeah, I just think that I'm finding myself just turning it off now because I'm not interested. Because we've said before, football fans make football what it is. Like the emotion and the passion and everything, like you really, especially if you're supporting the team that's on TV or whatever, and you can't go to the game. That's why, like for me, like I genuinely do fear that it may not go back and football's going to be ruined. It's not on.
No, I don't think so. I mean, moving this bullet of conversation and reloading in another one, and also at the same time undoing the belt of conversation
and doing up the bow and filling up the glass and anything else.
I would like to talk about sort of like another adult fear, where I have frequely had fear of not being successful. I feel like as a man as well, I think there is a pressure on a man to be successful and also to bring in the bread, if that makes sense. Like,
I understand that. Be a provider.
Get the bag. Secure the bag, basically. Yeah. Be a provider, which is probably going to make more sense than secure the bag.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing with that, mate. Don't know where that bag's come from.
You know, I always feel like that is a pressure where you have to sort of make sure that you are doing that and make sure that you are going forward in life. And I would suggest that is quite a common fear as well. I would have thought for most adults that you, as you say, otherwise you have all these. I mean, life in a way. I know this is a bit deep, but life in a way is living in fear because you're constantly fighting homelessness in a way, aren't you?
Yeah, no.
You're constantly fighting starvation.
Do you know what?
So you know,
I think what you've just said is a very good point. And I think as well is maybe the reason why fear such as like being a provider or anything like that, maybe that sets in. I know probably for myself it does in terms of like comparing myself to other people. So, say for example, like I'm in the very early stages of looking into getting my own place. So, you know, you heard it here first, but that's just a very early stage of looking. That's not due to, you know, people around me like having their own place. Obviously, I wasn't or am not in a financial position to have done it at the same time that anyone else has. But I think maybe I've been in fear. Like I was the last one of my friends to move out of home. I, you know, perhaps in terms of work, haven't had the most steady jobs, and I think that's probably because I've been comparing myself to people. Whereas now I've kind of got a bit of like more of a level head on my shoulders. That, you know, just because Jack's doing something or this person's doing something doesn't mean that I need to do it. So that it's kind of just like within your own time.
I think as a human being, I think it's very difficult to fight your natural instincts, and your natural instincts, unfortunately, is to compare yourself with other people and where they are in life, and envy is a very ugly thing to do to yourself. You know, I always try my hardest to make sure that I'm not being envious, because envy's never really gonna be a positive outcome. All it is just anger. It is just a sort of like parcel of anger that is unnecessary. You don't need to be envious of anyone else. At the end of the day, I always remind myself, if I do feel like, if I do have a bad day or I get down and I feel like someone else is doing better than me, you know, you are only one of you. There's no one else that is called Sam Rabin and looks like you.
Well, that's a compliment. I should hope not, mate. You know,
that's a compliment.
One of a kind geezer.
And that's where you have to sort of realise that you are creating your own journey, and potentially you might look back and be happy that you did it the way you did it. And there's no point spending time having any negative thoughts about, oh, well, look, my friends have bought an own place, but I haven't. You know, if it's something you want to do, then the most positive thing you can do is work to do that. Work to change that. If you're actually, you have an honest conversation with yourself and say, am I happy with this situation? No, I'm not. So let's actually make some steps to change that, because then number one, I don't need to be envious, and number two, it's for my happiness. Definitely. It's irrelevant what anyone else has done. And at the end of the day, you're not friends with me and I'm not friends with you because of them reasons that
no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? So that's just an example where I'd suggest people to use that. It's not worth building up that negative sort of envy and negative energy in their life when it's unnecessary.
No, that is, you're making some very good points today, Jack. I'm very impressed. I was gonna say something else that people may live in fear of is putting themselves out there, such as a podcast or, you know, something like that, because they may feel that maybe, let's just say, I mean, I don't feel this way. Let's just say, hypothetically, I was hated in school. Like, wasn't hated, I was just very average. But people who I went to school with, like, if they didn't like me in school, does their perception of me change now that I'm an adult? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a fear of putting myself out there and them thinking, oh, Sam, he was a bit of a dickhead, so I'm never going to watch the podcast. So
yeah, I know what you mean. I do feel like I struggled leaving school and then going into college. I did very much struggle with the thought of having to socially start all over again with strangers. Yeah. And after that happened, I felt so confident and so happy that I sort of won over people, if that makes sense. Like, not everyone obviously, but I made a lot of new friends, which makes you very confident, and you feel like, well, you know what, I could walk up, and to this day I can do this. I can walk up to anyone on the street and say hello to them.
Would you say?
I mean, I wouldn't advise it.
No, well, yeah.
but what I'm saying is I have the ability to do it. If I need for whatever reason to walk up to someone and ask them a question, or say to them, oh, sorry, you've just dropped your wallet or something like that. I know for a fact there's people out there that would be too afraid or timid to go, oh, you know what, he's dropped his wallet, but I I just don't
Yeah.
do not. I have too much fear to speak to that person.
I get what you mean. I think, going back to you in college, do you think you used your fear of not wanting to repeat what happened in primary school, because you've mentioned in the past that you were bullied in primary school, and secondary school, do you feel that you used the fear of it potentially happening again as a counter, and you're like, you know what, fuck the fear, I'm gonna potentially, I know it sounds quite bad, I'm not saying you did, but putting on a character and then you just became that character. Is that what happened?
I wouldn't say I put on a character. I actually just really had a conversation with myself and said, well, look, you had a negative experience in primary school. There were moments in high school I was just like, you know what, like, fuck this. Can we just restart? Can I go to another school or something?
Yeah.
Like, they were the honest thoughts in my head, because I felt like I did make... When you're getting bullied, I always feel like at that age as well, that tender young age, and you're going through your teenage years, there's moments where you just bite back. Mm-hmm. And them moments when you bite back are actually moments where you've shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
So, you know, all round it was a negative experience. So when I went into college, the feeling I had was, you know what? Like, just do a social leap of faith and just be yourself. Like, and, you know, I did think, if this goes wrong, my self-confidence will be below the floor.
Yeah.
You know, I will be... But I just thought, this risk is worth taking. It's a calculated risk. I have to do it, because I can't carry on from school, you know, and then in college and being basically socially inept. I didn't want that. So I made that decision. So I do feel like there's definitely a stage where people have to make that leap of faith socially to gain confidence. It's almost like when I was single, like when you're walking up to women to try and chat them up, you know, you are making a leap of faith there, but you've already done it before, so it's not as bad, if that makes sense. It's not a really big leap of faith. It's more a jump over the ditch. It's not a leap of faith. It's sort of like, well, look, God, if she says no, I'm happy anyway. But if she says yes, then you know, that's
happy days.
That's plus 5 confidence points.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I get that. But you know, like, there's people can be scared of or have a fear of anything. Like, so how would you advise someone who, regardless of the fear, let's take fear of spiders, as you know, I have a horrific fear of spiders. How would you advise for someone to conquer that fear?
Well, I know it's common and it's cheesy, but you've just got to face it head on. Like, you've just got to maybe go to a spider sanctuary.
But what if I don't want to do that? Because, like, I just...
Well, it's the only way... Yeah, but that's the whole point of what that is, it's not really a fear, Sam. It's an irrational fear. Because a house spider is never, ever going to harm you. So it is an irrational fear. It's like the whole biting cotton thing. It's got nothing to do with pain or harm. You know, it's just an irrational fear. So basically, you need to go to a spider sanctuary and just let them crawl up your arms and maybe get to like some. I don't know. Call them a name. Bob, Dave,
Bob the spider.
Jill.
Oof. I mean, naming a spider just made me cringe a little bit. But
Steve the spider.
Steve the spider. Well, how about this is... I can't believe I'm going to say these words. I have to kind of build myself up to say it. How about when all this lockdown is over, we visit a spider sanctuary?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I'll film that and upload it to...
that will be...
Upload it to our millions of subscribers and fans.
I think I have a heart attack. Like, the thought of it, it's actually... I'm starting to sweat. God.
Well,
I love Steve the spider.
Well, as we've just dropped that bombshell of conversation on the thousands watching...
Oh, yeah.
I am going to say thank you for listening or watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, and let us know your fears. Why don't you comment below and tell us what maybe your fears are, irrational fears. We'd be loving to watch that. And also, please be prepared to watch Sam enter a spider sanctuary, because now he said it, It is happening.
It's not going to be fun.
I've got evidence.
I don't know why.
I've got evidence.
Why have I said it? Like, why have I said that? Like, it's not on. It isn't on. But I've said that I will potentially do that. It'll also be interesting to hear if you have had a fear, how you've managed to conquer it or get over it, because potentially there could be someone else watching this that has the same fear, and you could be doing them a solid. I know that sounds very dodgy, but you could be.
That is dodgy.
But yeah, you could.
Right, on that dodgy note, I've been Jack. Be lucky.
And I'm Sam, and I'll see you when you're older.